Redditors who went to high school with a celebrity, what were they like before they were famous? Went to high school with Drake. He put 3 separate dollars into a vending machine before he realized it was broken. At that point he was famous as the wheelchair guy from Degrassi. He put 3 separate dollars into a vending machine before he realized it was broken. That is the most Drake thing I've ever heard. You used to give me Snickers last time when I put my money in. Feeding on my wallet in the middle of the cafeteria, and I know when that dollar's in, that should only mean one thing. Yeah, I know when that dollar's in, it's your job to give me Twix. These days all I do is wonder if you're putting out those snacks for someone else. Wonder if you're dishing out those crackers for someone else. Selling things I bought from you to somebody else. You don't need no else. You don't need nobody else. Know why you gotta stay broke? Why you always eating dough? Used to give me combos. Be a good vend. You were so dope. You should just be yourself. Right now you're something else. Last name walking. First name never. Please. You're Canadian. Don't pretend like you don't know the character's name is Jimmy. My dad went to high school with the voice of Patrick Star. He was actually a really smart, popular, nice guy. He was also naturally goofy, as you might expect. I can't even imagine what the person would look like, because all I can picture is a star. My dad went to the same high school as Steve Harvey and told me he couldn't believe it when he discovered he was famous, because Steve hardly ever said anything and was the shy kid. That surprises me. Part of his shyness probably had to do with him stuttering and fricking up cue cards. He'd always confidently give answers in class only to find out that they were wrong. Taylor Lautner went to my high school. He was a year ahead. He was also a kinda weird kid. I remember him rolling around on the floor in his video production class. There was also that time the Elephant Bar was mobbed with paparazzi in town cause he went there with his then girlfriend Taylor Swift. I also rented a library book with Ashley Tisdale's name in it. Good ole Santa Clarita. Santa Clarita is where creative souls go to die. And then eat people, apparently. My hometown. Should have kept the book. I was a year behind Zach Galifianakis in elementary and high school. He seems like pretty much the exact same guy he was years ago. Down to earth, super funny and a little goofy. He was also a Boy Scout. Boy Scout totally describes this guy. At some point, he made friends with a homeless woman. He got her an apartment and paid her expenses for quite a period of time. He has also brought her along to several of his movie premieres. Though I'm not a big fan of his, I will always respect that about him. I always get annoyed hearing about celebs spending money on such wasteful things that when I hear about them actually doing something good with that wealth, it makes me think of them in a much better light. Likewise, career or no career, he is a good dude. My older sister went to school with Brad Pitt. He asked her out once and she agreed to go, but the night before their date, her ex called and they made up and she cancelled the date with Brad. Your sister done fricked up. Went to the same high school as Ian Somerhalder. Everyone said he was really chill and no one believed him when he said he had a modeling contract. He looks like a male model. Let's just say that I would not be surprised to hear him say that back in high school. But why male models? Pretty sure that dude's face is next to male model in the dictionary. Maybe he looked different back then. It was more so the fact that it was a pretty small town and you didn't hear of a lot of people getting modeling contracts. He was also a good student and didn't bring attention to himself. Oh god, is that one attractive man. My boyfriend's mother was Sandra Bullock's college roommate at ECU. She said that Sandy was very driven and serious about her work, which is probably why she is the accomplished actress she is today. Random Sandra Bullock fact. She speaks almost impeccable German. There is a German prize she won and her whole speech was spoken freely and almost without fault or even an inclination that she lived in America. Her mother was German smiley face. My dad went to high school with Jon Stewart and had Teller from Penn and Teller as his Latin teacher. My dad was a senior when Jon Stewart was a freshman, so he doesn't know anything about him, but he loved having Teller as a teacher. Supposedly Penn and the other guy they started out with would come in to practice tricks. Also, he talked. My dad hated high school and skipped a lot of classes. but he really enjoyed his Latin classes. He passed it on to me, so really, Teller is responsible for my minor in classical language. I find it hilarious that a celebrity famous for being silent is a language teacher. Especially fun, because Latin is essentially a silent language these days. My mum went to high school in Michigan with Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. She said they were always making movies and were both pretty big dorks, but everybody loved them. She even showed me old pictures of them filming the school news in her yearbooks. I went to school with Margot Robbie. She was in her final year when I started high school. She was one of the mentors that I had in the first year of high school, and she seemed like a pretty normal person. Very kind. I think she already had a little bit of fame at this point, but I was none the wiser to it. I am furiously envious. Went to school with Lord Takapuna Grammar. She wasn't particularly cool or weird, but when we were 17 she hit on my friend at a party and he was like, "You're 14. Frick off." Her sister's a real bitch though, apparently. I was thinking. I had no idea Lord's real name was so weird. I need some sleep. That makes two of us. Totally thought that was her real name until I read this comment. I just had to Google it. For real thought that was her real name after reading that too. Yeah, my first thought was, wait, Lord does not look Maori. Why would she have a Maori first name? But Grammar sounds more like an English name, so perhaps her mother was Maori and her father was English? Or perhaps Google's done. I went to high school with Axl Rose and Izzy Stradlin from Guns N' Roses. Jeff, Izzy, was a good guy. Liked to ride skateboard and BMX. He wrote something about drugs and rock and roll in my yearbook. I didn't hang with Bill Axl, so I have no info to share about him. Can you post a pic of the yearbook? Would love to see it. I always thought Katy Perry, then Katie Hudson, was kind of an idiot when we were in high school together. Then she dropped out after about 6 months, got her GED, and made millions. Guess she was smarter than I thought. Oh, honey. He didn't go to my high school, but I grew up really close to Justin Bieber and I had friends that were close to him. One of them was actually in his movie. The Biebs brought him down to LA for a vacation. Don't really know much about how he used to be, but everyone used to make fun of him for the videos he used to put on YouTube singing. Then they all miraculously wanted to be besties after he got discovered. My husband recently met Justin Bieber in Australia. My husband, was sitting in a park while our daughter was running around, and some young guy sat down next to him. They exchanged hellos and my husband noted his Canadian accent and assumed he was a tourist. LOL. They chatted for about 5 minutes, my husband having absolutely no idea who he was talking to until a bodyguard came over and said, "Justin, you only have 20 minutes. My husband eventually put 2 and 2 together and realized that it was Justin Bieber, and they had a bit of a laugh about the fact that my husband hadn't recognized him, and they chatted for another 5 minutes. Apparently he was actually really nice and chill. They chatted about the WWE and playing guitar, and he was interested in what my husband does for a living. He's a bailiff. He also played with my daughter and took a selfie with them, and then went on his merry way. Not saying he hasn't acted like a douche in the past, but maybe he's grown up a bit. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Smiley face. Barely counts, but when I was getting a tattoo, a Bruno Mars song came on and my artist started laughing and said he went to elementary school with him. Apparently all he remembers anytime he hears him is that he had his pants on a field trip and cried until he was picked up by his mom. Also doesn't count, but I went to college with his cousin. Said cousin was fine as frick, but when I went to his house to work on a group project he just dabbed and didn't contribute much at all. Talked a lot about how he was Bruno Mars's cousin. Lost interest pretty quickly. My dad went to high school with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Anytime we see him in anything he always says that guy is such a douchebag. It fits. John Winchester was a freaking douche and Negan too, I guess. The comedian was a total asshole as well. I watched the 90-minute Talking Dead episode for this season, and he was a massive asshole. Disappointing. I like him as an actor generally. I went to school with Dave, from Dave's Tire and Auto. He's the one on the commercial about 4 AM on the public access. Yeah, that guy changed, man. He used to be cool. Everybody knows Dave. Who's that guy up there on the balcony with Dave? Today I learned everyone knows Taylor Swift. And they all hate her, lol. Didn't go to school with him, but Eminem did a speech at my school when I was about 14. I walked out of the auditorium halfway through to go hang out with my then girlfriend. After his speech, Eminem toured the school. My girlfriend and I saw him and jokingly called out his name, to which he heard us and came over to chat for a few minutes. Pretty cool reward for skipping class and hanging out in the halls. Very down to earth guy. Everything I've heard about Eminem from people who met or used to know him is that he's a pretty down to earth guy. And even if he didn't see you, he must have missed you. Don't think he did that intentionally just to diss you. Rip Stan. Directions unclear. Ran off bridge with girlfriend in the trunk. Ayo Slim. You got something to say? Do you know of a story like this? Leave it in the comments below. If you're new here, subscribe for more. We post the best Reddit videos daily. Thanks for watching.